Special constables are integral to policing in the UK, and here at Warwickshire Police and West Mercia Police we're committed to recruiting, training and supporting special constables within our forces. We're looking for people with skills and experience to contribute and help keep their communities safe and protect people from harm. You might not think that you've got any of these skills, but if you're good at solving problems, offering friendly support to people, or just making decisions, things that you do in everyday life, well, you should look into how these translate to you becoming a special constable. Let's now go over to the Police and Crime Commissioners and the Special's Chief Officers and find out how they support the Special Constabulary.
As the Police and Crime Commissioner for Warwickshire, one of my roles is to allocate the budget. From my very early days, I've made it clear that I wanted to increase the number of special constables in Warwickshire. One of the reasons I'm so keen on special constables is I think volunteering is a measure of the health of a society, and there could be no better example of extreme volunteering in many ways than special constables. I'm hugely impressed by the work that our special constables do. When you look at the work regular police officers do, it's an incredibly challenging role. And as far as the specials are concerned, not only are they doing that, they're adding that into their normal everyday lives as well. If you're watching this film, you clearly are interested. Later in the film, you're going to be hearing from some people actually doing the job as special constables. So at the end of that, just ask yourself the question, am I special enough to be a special for Warwickshire Police?
Warwickshire Police are committed to increasing the number of specials up to roughly 400. We're doing a lot of recruiting, and of course we're welcoming any members of the public who would like to come and join us to come along. The special's unique role is that really they're all members of the public but also going to be wanted police officers. So they're sitting two sides of the fence, which is a good thing because they can see what also the public's reaction is to the police service, as well as being a police officer themselves. What you get back being a special is you get, first of all, you make a lot of new friends, and you learn a lot of new skills with the training, skills which probably could be useful in your own jobs. We have various opportunities, we have various courses that people can go on, for argument's sake, cycle courses, standard driving courses, also get involved in major operations like global gathering, and also there's always the opportunity for promotion. And when you have finished and completed your training and become independent, you'll then be attached to a safer neighbourhood team. Well, we try to attach officers to an SNT near to where they live. If they're not happy with that, we can accommodate that. So we are flexible there. We actually self-task now. So you can go on duty, see what's required to do and get on with the job yourself. You don't have to be with a regular officer once you become independent. Types of jobs that specials get involved with could be domestics, road traffic accidents, any type of job that a regular officer would get involved with. And it's like everything else, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it.
Hello, my name is Barry Sheldon. I'm the Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for West Mercia Police. Bill was elected back in November 2012, and one of our first tasks was to write a police and crime plan for West Mercia. From the outset, both Bill and I believed that community policing was very important for the people of West Mercia. And certainly prior to the election and since the election, where we have met hundreds if not thousands of different people, that message has been loud and clear. People want to see police officers engaging effectively with their communities. What people want is to see police officers, police community support officers, specials and even volunteers working in their communities alongside them in resolving local crime and disorder problems. So this is your opportunity to come and join this wonderful organisation, West Mercia Police, and to put something back into your community. community certainly needs people like you, and if you have a real interest in working with people and getting involved in resolving local problems, well, maybe you are the person for this particular job.
Regular police officers are, if you like, almost constrained by their job, that most of their experience, working experience, is with other police officers. Whereas with a special constable, they're coming from every aspect of industry, every aspect of commerce, and perhaps they can bring a different spin, a different way of looking at things when it comes to the police service. It is also different to any other form of volunteering. The wider policing family means now that you will have both opportunities to seek promotion, or perhaps to even specialise in one of our tasking teams, or perhaps the operational police support units. At all stages you'll be fully trained to ensure that you are adequately equipped to cope with the promotion that may be in front of you. And after perhaps some 10, 12, 14 years of experience, you may well find yourself as the Deputy Chief Officer, or in fact the Chief Officer of your local Special Constabulary, because bear in mind, we too are still volunteers.
So what should you consider if you want to be a special? A special constable has the same powers as a regular warranted police officer. This obviously comes with great responsibilities. It's good to have an understanding on how this may impact your life. Here's something to think about.
I'm Jill Christie. I'm the People Development Business Partner for Warwickshire Police and West Mercia Police. The recruitment process is a national process. The standards that the candidates have to meet are the same in many cases as that would be required of someone applying to become a regular police officer. From submitting your application to taking up your training can take up to 12 months. You must be 18 years old. You must be a resident of the UK or the European Union, or have leave to remain in the UK without restrictions. There are some occupations which will disbar you from becoming a special constable. For example, you can't be a judge or a magistrate, you can't be a traffic warden, and you can't be a member of the armed forces. There are other occupations which would preclude you from becoming a special, but those are listed on the College of Policing website. Candidates with tattoos should contact the recruitment team, as some may deem to be unsuitable. Candidates with previous convictions or cautions are unlikely to be suitable for appointment, and also if you have had a county court judgment or have an IVA, then you will not be eligible to apply. The application form asks for some personal information about yourself and about your family. It also includes 2 questions which will be assessed to decide whether or not you can proceed to the assessment centre, which is the next stage of the process. Part of the application form involves 2 competency-based questions which will be assessed to decide whether or not you should proceed to the next stage of the process. These questions asked you to provide examples of situations that you've dealt with in the past. What we're interested in is your experience and how you will bring that to the role of the Special Constable. The other questions ask about your motivation for becoming a Special Constable and your expectations of the role. To make sure that your application is as good as it can be, we would advise you to type it and to use spell check, to get your friends or colleagues to check your application for you, and to take enough time to get it right. If your application is successful at this stage, we would then invite you to an assessment centre which takes place at Hindlip Hall just outside Worcester. This is a half-day exercise. You will be sent a comprehensive reading pack 2 weeks before the assessment centre, and this is all the preparation that you will need to do before you attend. The assessment centre is classroom based and comprises 3 elements. The first, a 20-minute interview. There is a written exercise where you will be given some information and then asked to write a short report. And then finally you will do a situation judgment test where you're asked to answer a number of questions. If you're successful at the assessment centre, the next stage of the process is to do some vetting checks. This will include looking for criminal convictions and cautions, a check of your financial history. We will take your fingerprints and also a DNA sample. You will be given a medical questionnaire to complete at this stage of the process as well. We'll take references from your current employer or from your school or college if you're still in education. These parts of the process can delay your application. Any changes to your personal circumstances, for example if you change your job or if you change your partner, could also result in a delay, and it's important that you let the recruitment team know as soon as possible if there are any changes in your personal circumstances. If you are unsuccessful at any stage of this process, you will be eligible to reapply after 6 months.
If your application is successful, there's still a few stages of the process that you need to go through, such as security vetting, medical, fitness testing and the assessment centre. So, what have you got to get prepared for next?
My name is Martin Humphreys and I work within the Warwickshire Police and West Mercia Police Professional Standards Department. My role is that of a police staff investigator. When you apply to join the Special Constabulary, you are asked to fill in a vetting form. And what we say as a rule of thumb is that if you are in doubt, you disclose everything. The role of the Special Constable is very well used within Warwickshire Police, and we encourage them to be out and about and in the eyes of the public out there, actually on the streets. We remind the Special Constabulary that when we give them a uniform and when we give them if you like, a badge of office, i.e. their warrant card, we expect them to be out there using their powers in a correct way. They have the same powers and authorities of a serving police constable. In other words, they can arrest members of the public, they can use sufficient force that they seem fit. What we remind them, and our job within the Professional Standards Department, is that ensure that they use their powers of arrest, their use of force in a justified and reasonable manner. As a member of the Special Constabulary, we invite you to do a minimum of 16 hours a month on duty. You may only be on duty 16 hours a month, but you represent the police service at all times.
And if you manage to get through all this, you're in, and it's time to start training. And this is what we've got in store for you.
I'm Stuart Bosworth and I am the team leader for the policing skills team for Warwickshire Police and West Mercia Police. The first thing that specials can expect when they join, we will invite them in and we will ask them to bring family or friends or loved ones to come for a pre-induction. We'll perhaps advise some of them about that they may need to have a shave when they come back on the course or tidy their hair up. In terms of their loved ones or their parents, partners, another member of training staff will speak to them and we run a small exercise with them around sort of hopes, concerns, expectations, because we're aware it's a big decision and it impacts on family and friends and loved ones as well. My experience is that they do have some concerns. Often those concerns are around them getting hurt, for example, the hours that they might be working. Do they need to alter the way that they may currently do things because they're now joining a professional body? There's a national programme for special constables. There's a curriculum which is set by the College of Policing. We deliver that programme, that main curriculum. It consists of approximately 200 hours of training. Now the way that we deliver that is that we've got 3 delivery hubs in Warwickshire Police and West Mercia Police. Those 200 hours consist of a series of evenings and weekends. At the moment we do 20 evenings and 8 weekends, and on all of those days you can expect around 6 hours contact time with the training staff. There's law input around some of the offences that they will deal with, so around theft and burglary, criminal damage. They'll be introduced to some of the personal protective equipment that we have to wear, so baton, handcuffs, parva spray, body armour, and they will go through some of the techniques and tactics that we use. They will also do a first aid qualification, which is recognised outside of the police service, so they'll get a national qualification in terms of first aid, and they will also get some IT-based training around our systems. In terms of fitness, there is a minimum standard. We run a current fitness test to this minimum national standard, which is based on a bleep test. They're currently 15 metres apart and they reach a level which equates to around 4 minutes running time. We will always try and use our mouths because that is without doubt the best tool we have. But if it resorts to physical force or the use of physical force, it will always be at the minimum level. But a degree of physical fitness clearly is important. How they're assessed is through a process of knowledge checks, which will take the form of exams. We also run practical scenarios with them. We utilise some of the local further education colleges in the area. We are flexible in terms of the programme, however they must complete the programme. So we appreciate it's a huge commitment for people, and if somebody can't make one evening, for example, often we may be running other intakes. So we may have an overlap of intakes, or we may have an intake in a month's time. So we can often negotiate around the dates. What's important is that they complete the course. In terms of the length of training, the evening sessions generally run for 3 to 4 hours of an evening. So we tend to run our sessions from 7 o'clock till 10 p.m. At the end of the course, the last weekend, and they actually spend the whole weekend with us, and they do a whole day of scenarios. Not everybody does pass. We don't compromise on the standard because ultimately we need to clearly reassure the public what we're turning out are people that have got the skills that we want to represent Warwickshire Police and West Mercia Police. At the end of the evenings and weekend, we run an attestation process where their family and friends can come and see them take an oath in front of a magistrate, because they will have the same powers as I've got, as any police officer will have. It's a formal process, but we make it very, very family orientated. So the total time from recruitment to attestation to them actually passing out is around 6 months. Throughout the training programme, if specials will be reimbursed in terms of their travelling costs to and from the training hubs where the training is delivered. In order to achieve independent patrol, the special, once they've completed their 20 evenings and 8 weekends and they've been attested, they will then be allocated to a patrol team. Throughout that period of time, they will complete a portfolio. The portfolio describes a number of activities which are national occupational standards. If they demonstrate those skills, then they will be recorded in the portfolio. Once the portfolio is complete, it's signed off by the patrol sergeant, and once that's taken place, that special then becomes independent, i.e. they can work without a coach or a mentor. Clearly a huge commitment for people to volunteer and come and join our organisation. A commitment to us and a commitment to the community. It is a two-way thing. We return that commitment by committing to the officers in terms of the training that we give them. You know, we give them a uniform which is effectively funded by the community, by the public. They will learn key skills around negotiation, providing support for often the most vulnerable in our society. The training is very much focused on the code of ethics, on behaviours, and ultimately service to the public, because that's what we're here for.
And after all that, that's it. You're out there with the public, dealing with all sorts of incidents as they happen. But what's it like doing the job? Well, I'm going to speak with a group of specials now and let them share their experiences with you.
I'm David Watts. I'm the Special Inspector for the Stratford District. We're primarily aligned to this SNT, the Safer Neighbourhood teams, and our role is to work with partners and the communities, and essentially we're protecting people from harm, but at a very local level. Quite a range of different jobs. It's SNT primarily, but you can be sent just about anywhere for any particular job. I was sent on an immediate to a job where a deer had been knocked over on the road, and clearly it was blocking the road and the animal was in distress. So I went off to find that. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the animal, it had been moved. But on the way to that particular job, I was then sent to another antisocial behaviour. This time it was children throwing rocks and stones at vehicles in Ulster. I went up to deal with that. And then from there I was sent to an immediate where a woman had cut her wrists and was attempting to commit suicide, and the paramedic needed support to go in. So I was asked to support the paramedic and deal with the woman with the knife. We get involved in a number of large operations. Global gathering is the largest one we do, where the specials will support the regulars in dealing with principally drug searches for the festival goers. The relationship I found with regulars is very good. In all the years I've been doing this, for 8 or 9 years now, there's not been one instance where I've had any difficulty with regulars. We are supported fully. Now, of course, it's a quid pro quo, because when we go to jobs, they expect us to do it professionally and they expect it to do as well. And the way that we're trained, we can do exactly that. But given that, and given that we can offer that sort of support, they welcome us with open arms. I joined the specials because I wanted a challenge. At the time, the job I had, I could do it with my eyes closed and my hands behind my back. I wasn't getting the challenge out of it. I wanted to do something that would give me the physical challenge, and this does, and I wanted something that would give me the intellectual challenge, and this does, by dint of the training, by dint of the things that we're asked to do. But I also wanted something that would take me out of my comfort zone, and this really does take you out of your comfort zone. Initially, my friends were very dubious. You're a police officer, you've got a warrant card, what does that mean, how does that affect us? Some of them put distance between themselves and me, and I understand that, although a little strange perhaps. As far as my family goes, my wife has been hugely supportive, because it is very much a lifestyle decision, and you can go out whenever you go out, and you can be out for many, many hours and you don't come back until the job's done. And of course, unless your partner's supporting you like that, you're going to find it very difficult. The requirement to act within the sort of the professional standards that we're set in the force naturally impacts on your life. You become very much more aware of what you do, what you say, and how people around you are reacting to you. But it does focus your attention on what is right and what you must do. We have a whole variety of different individuals that are joining the specials for a whole variety of different reasons. But I think what characterises them the most is their enthusiasm and their sheer commitment to the job. I think what surprised me most about the role was the fact that we were expected to get involved in everything. There are, of course, the inevitable phrases about, well, you're just hobby bobbies or you're plastic policemen and all that sort of stuff. That isn't the case. I'd expected there to be a boundary to be drawn, but the force doesn't draw a boundary like that. It does give you the responsibility and the decision making, and expects you to go and make those decisions and to do things and to protect people from harm and deal with incidents. You get trained to a high level. It takes you out of your comfort zone. It gives you new skills that are transferable probably in your employment. You meet a great bunch of people. You have a great set of training. You'll not find a role where you will actually be able to say, I made a difference. There is no more fulfilling way to protect people from harm or distress or injury than being a special constable and going through the training, wearing the uniform and going out on the streets.
So when you first applied, what were you looking forward to the most?
The challenge, really. I do a desk job for my actual day job, so actually just going out, walking around and having new things every time I go out to learn, that was the main thing for me. I don't think I'd done a shift yet where I'd not learned something new and experienced something new, which doesn't happen in my current work job.
Speaking of your normal job, is there a difference, a shift in attitude towards you now that you're a special constable within your work colleagues?
Nobody that I work with imagines that I could possibly do it, which I think is a good thing, in the sense they all look and say there's a character that a special constable should be. Right. So I think if I can break that and say, well, actually I do it, that's a very good thing. So I go in each day and say, this is what I did, and they're all like, you did that? And it's like, yes, if I can do it, other people can do it.
So from putting your application in, assessment fitness, getting the nod, you've got the position, to now, how long's that?
So it's about 5 months.
So with the training within that, is that regimented?
You could have 2 evenings during the week and then the weekend off, or you could have no lessons in the week and do the weekend.
And you found it quite easily to cope with?
It is hard work, it is a lot of commitment, 2 nights out of the week, just from a day's work, tea, and straight back out again. But it's because you want to do it that keeps you going.
Clearly becoming a Special Constable is a massive undertaking because of the responsibilities and power that you have. It's a choice that would impact on your life. Have you had any kind of negative senses of that?
Certainly it's a way of life. It's not just something that you pick up and put down. We said we were 16 hours a month, but technically you're never off duty. You could be out and see a fight in the street, and it's your moral obligation to do something, whether it pick up a phone and ring 999, as any member of the public would, or put yourself actively on duty. I mean, you've got to be aware of your safety procedures if you're going to do something like that. I mean, for me personally, there have been friends that have taken various different paths, and paths that possibly, well, they definitely did clash with my path. It's been difficult. You sort of evaluate as to why you're friends in the first place.
It's a very real issue that you have to deal with, real life. It's a real decision, and people you might have grown up with or known for a long time, when you make a decision like this, it sometimes doesn't go hand in hand with how they operate their lives, and those relationships change, and you might lose relationships, but again, you've got to be really committed to what you're doing, and when you do the job, you feel committed, you're doing the right thing, and you evaluate those relationships and move forward or move away. Everyone that's sat here, no regrets?
You might lose a couple of friends, but you certainly make a whole lot more than you do than you lose.
What do your friends and family think of you becoming a Special Constable?
They were used to coming round and seeing me on the dining room table with loads of books and papers, studying hard. And if I was struggling with questions, I'd ask them, and they'd try and find out the answers, sort of thing. But I would also keep going to the regulars and asking them.
Yeah.
What's this? What do I do for this? How does this work? And just before the end of training, they'd see me come in, and then they'd say, "Oh, I've got a dash." But everyone, luckily, my support network has really praised me and cheered me on.
Good stuff. Ross, obviously 4 years you've made it, clearly it's worked for you. Your employer, what was their initial reaction, and were they quite flexible and helpful with it?
Yeah, they've been quite flexible with sort of my hours and working around training and everything else like that. And yeah, they've been very supportive, and they're very happy I'm a special. I think it gives me some experiences that I can apply to sort of, my work role as well.
So the whole process, once you are confirmed, is quite long, obviously, with the application, the thought that you have to put through it. Yeah. Then there's the assessment day.
I'm not going to say it's easy, it is tough. There's a lot of time constraints put on different parts of the exams and the tests you have to do. There's an interview stage where, again, it's timed, so you've got to think again very, very fast on your feet with the questions that are put towards you.
And then after an assessment centre, you've got fitness tests. Is that right, Raj?
It was quite daunting. Right? It's always drummed up. You're doing this. You're gonna try different martial arts moves, and you're gonna have to run a lot. So the anticipation of it was actually a lot worse than it was. Ended up being a lot of fun. The way they do it is they do test your fitness so that you're safe, and you're safe out in the field, and you can look after yourself and run if you need to.
So how much prep do you think with the assessment centre and the fitness would you do before actually going?
If you want to be a special, a police officer, you have to look after your fitness. You have to look after your body and do some exercise, be aware of your strength. You should be able to run a bit for like 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes without getting out of breath. You should be able to lift some weights, just so you're safe yourself, and then you'll be fine in the assessment centres.
The learning process that you all go through, would you say that there's anything to be scared of in terms of that?
Not at all. I mean, it's a lot of work to go through it, but it's small chunks on a regular basis, and it's a case of learning something, going through it, refreshing it, coming back to it, and it's really broken down into small parts. So No, I mean, it's always an ongoing thing. You can be in the job for quite a few years and still learn something new.
Yeah.
So the start is getting you into the basics and things, and then of course you got that final assessment centre when you learn a bit more and start putting it into practice.
Are those the days then, Raj, that it kind of clicks into place where you kind of go, that's what that was about?
Yeah, I think most people have their sort of light bulb moment during those assessment days, and it's fascinating because you're going through these scenarios and then all of a sudden in the back of your mind you remember, there was a law for that, there's a procedure for this. It is a type of thing that you'll be dealing with out on duty. So yeah, during those assessment centres you're there, you're finally getting to use a radio, you're there with a team, you've got a real life situation that you need to deal with, and it all comes together then, and classroom becomes real life.
Everyone's completely different backgrounds, but all drawn in on the same thing, where you'd say basically paying back to the community was your one aim?
Being able to help people and do different tasks that we'd never have a chance to do before. I've been able to work with response teams, dog handlers, do all kinds of different things that I never imagined I'd be able to do as a special.
I just love the satisfaction feeling of knowing that I'm going to help someone, knowing that I'm doing my bit to make a difference. It's just a big extended family who welcome you with open arms, and they make you feel welcome, they look after you. You always know somebody's watching your back as you're watching theirs. So I'm very happy to be in this new family.
Put the uniform on, come out on duty, get to see people that I'm building relationships with, and get to go out and carry on. Doing some community service. It is a lot of fun, and you do see a lot of things. So for me, it's just growing that experience and confidence out there.
For anyone who's swaying, do I, don't I? What's your words of advice and top tips?
I'd say take the challenge and just go for it. It really is worth it, and if you're thinking about doing it and the do I, don't I, try it and see. It really opened my eyes and has been such a lot of fun. So if you're thinking about doing it, take that bold step, jump, and you won't regret it.
We followed a few specials through their days to see how they fit in being a special around their normal activities. This is Alex. He's a student, works part-time in a restaurant and manages to fit in being a special in Kidderminster as well.
There's a few reasons why I decided I wanted to become a special. I think the first reason that I wanted to become more employable. I knew that joining the specials would give me a variety of transferable skills and boost some of the skills I already had, such as communication skills. Another reason would be as I knew that the specials was going to be something exciting. I never thought when I heard about the specials that I'd get to do real police duties. I applied to the specials when I was 19 and I joined when I was 20. I got in first time. My family in particular were very, very supportive. They thought it was a very admirable thing to do. The first time I got into a police car, it was a really, really daunting experience. I was absolutely terrified. The first time we put the blue lights on as well to go to an instance. I think it was a burglary. That was the first time that we were going out on duty, and I was absolutely petrified going 80 miles an hour down a road that I had driven down many times in my life as a civilian. Not everything's as exciting when you get there, but sometimes the thing about it is you don't know what you're going to have when you get there, and you're expected to deal with it as well, and that's incredibly daunting, but also it's quite a nice feeling actually, being given that level of responsibility, and the fact that regular police officers respect that you're there as well to help, and that they respect your judgment in these scenarios with the training that you've been given. Firstly, when I go out with a Safer Neighbourhood team, that consists of a regular police officer and CSOs, community support officers. We usually, our day-to-day activities is going around a particular pad and making sure that victims of crime are safe. We do door-to-door checks. we look for missing persons. Moving on to response reactive work, that's mainly about dealing with 999 calls or serious matters that are called in by members of the public. I've found that I can be very flexible in my work with the specials, and as well as being a student and working part-time with the response team, they're very flexible with letting me do whatever hours I want really, within reason. Whether that's in the middle of the night or early in the morning. It's the same with the safer neighbourhood teams. Although you would normally have to do 4 hours every week, they're very flexible in allowing you to do a shift, say every two weeks, a full shift, which is beneficial as well, as you get to learn who your teammates are much more quickly than having to shoot off halfway through a shift.
Alex is a very key member of the staff. He's worked here for 7 years now, on and off weekends and evenings. He is reliable, he's fun, he's well spoken. Since Alex has become a special constable, I think he's matured dramatically. He's good with customers, he's good with money, so he's very reliable, but I think that maturity is shown over the last year. It is useful having Alex. He does remind us on certain laws, especially we are licensed, so especially things like underage drinking and licensing hours. He's very key to remind us of this, but it is very helpful. If Alex does need to change his hours to suit his police commitments, we can always change and adapt our staff rota to fit and suit our members of staff, including Alex.
I can see myself spending a great portion of my future in the specials. I'm not sure about joining the regulars at the moment, but so there is a specials hierarchy that I could go into if I wanted to. However, I am incredibly happy just being a constable at the moment. I like getting out there and getting my hands dirty and dealing with the practical sides, although obviously there is good incentives to become a special sergeant or inspector, and I think it would be very beneficial to help me with my regular career as a teacher that I'll be training to do next year.
Heather works for Warwickshire Police right here in the control room and fits being a special around her shifts.
I'm a controller here in the communications centre, and I control local units that are out on the scene, dispatch them to jobs, run all the P&C checks or any database checks that they want. We're obviously 24 hours, so I work a 6 on 4 off pattern. So I have 2 earlies, 2 lates, 2 nights, followed by 4 days off. Shifts can be difficult within the training stage. Once you're independent and you're allowed to go out on patrol yourself, it works brilliantly. It works really, really well. I have 4 days off where I can do a variety of different shifts within those. So I'll have come off on a night shift, so I've been prepared, my body's prepared to go into a night shift as a special the next day if I wanted to. Quite a lot of the information I learn when I'm out helps me in my pay job and vice versa. I find the 2 roles, they work quite nicely together. So during my 4 rest days, I can do 2 days where I go out on as a special constable. I can work with the safer neighbourhood teams, and they could be people that I would have spoken to during my working hours that week. I'm quite fortunate in the fact that my personal life, my partner is in the police force as well, so he recognises the benefit of having specials within the force. 16 hours a month is bare minimum. I average about 25 hours, as most specials do tend to. I started work for Warwickshire Police in the Communication Centre 6 years ago, over as a call handler. Progressed over to this controlling side. Within that, I saw how useful special constables are and how much they are a valued resource, and hence why I joined myself. My work colleagues are very supportive in my role as a special, whether it be over the air when I'm actually out on patrol. They certainly know my voice, they certainly know how much I can do, and they trust me. Advice I would give to someone about joining the specials is quite simple. It's just do it. It gives a lot back to the community. It's good for your soul to give volunteer work, I feel. It's a very positive role that we play as a special constable. It's definitely just get on and do it.
So if this film has inspired you and you believe that you've got the skills to keep your community safe, then find out more at specialswanted.co.uk. Good luck to you.